The following production is brought to you by the Talkin Leafs Show.
Talkin Leafs Show. We are back. It's another Interview Wednesday. Interview Wednesday?
Interview Wednesdays.
I was going to say,
I like that.
Do we like Interview Wednesdays?
Absolutely.
Got a really good one today with Sam McKee from Sportsnet 590 The Fan. It was awesome.
Yeah, he's a beauty. He truly is one of us.
Yeah, he truly is one of us, that's for sure.
I heard he's pretty saucy with the sticks, too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I heard he can
We
get
should
out.
have asked him about that.
Yeah, no, I heard he can get out and he's got a low handicap. I like that.
Yeah.
I like that a lot.
He knows what he's doing. So, anything you want to touch on with respect to the Maple Leafs 7-0 win over the Anaheim Ducks?
It's really just it's molding me back into a huge fan of this hockey team. And now I just want to rub in to all the negative people that this team's actually a good hockey team. And people can come to me all they want and say, wait till the first round, but you cannot deny what this team is doing right now. They look unbelievable. When they dropped the puck in that game, there was no doubt that they were going to absolutely dummy one of the worst hockey teams I've ever seen.
How much would you
put on an NHL jersey?
Well, I was going to say, how much would you handicap it? Would you say that was 60, the Leafs are rolling, 40, the Ducks are garbage? Or would you say the other way around? Or would you say 50-50? Because the Anaheim Ducks are bad.
They're really bad. Maybe 50-50. I thought the Leafs had a weak first period, but after that, they absolutely dominated, and they just put a beating on a bad hockey team, which I like to see. They're playing well, man. There's no denying it. No denying it.
You sent me a text during the game that said you're obsessed with Ilya Samsonov.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna run with that. I like Matt Murray. I like the way that he's played, but I don't think Ilya Samsonov has played one bad game the entire year. He really hasn't. Every time he's taken the net, he's been fantastic. And he puts the belt on in the interview segment after the game.
That belt is goat. Edge gave them that belt.
That's awesome.
Did you know that?
No, I did not know that.
Yeah, Edge gave them that belt.
I love pro wrestlers who love hockey.
Well, we talk about the goaltending amongst many other things, and so let's just get to it. Let's quit wasting time and enjoy our interview with Sam McKee. Really excited about our next guest, Ryan. Really stoked. Joining us now from Sportsnet 590 The Fans, Real Kyper Bourne, and Leafs Talk, Mr. Sam McKee. Sam, welcome to Talkin' Buds, man.
Gentlemen, yeah, you called the real star of the show here. It was
We
not
sure
Kipper,
did.
it's not Borney, it's not
Nope.
JD Bunkus. You got the fourth best option here. So congratulations to you boys. How are you?
Good, man. Well,
Good.
we actually wanted we actually targeted you because
Okay.
we sort of fancy ourselves as we're Leafs Nation. We're sitting around drinking beers with your buddies, shooting the shit about the Leafs, and Kipper often refers to you as the pulse of Leafs Nation on the show.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
you're the perfect guy to have on.
Yeah, my Leafs fandom over the years has definitely, I would say, evolved, fellas, as working in this industry. I mean, I still love the Leafs, and I'm still hardcore, watch every game. It would do it the same if I worked at the Fan or I didn't. But it's a relationship changer as you get older. As you guys know, you love the team, but you're not maybe crying like I was in my early 20s when they lost to Boston after they were up 4-1. It's a little bit of a different relationship these days. So yeah, I loved having a pulse in Leaf Nation. All my buddies text me all the time about the Leafs, so I feel like I got a pretty good feel, boys.
Well, that's why you were our option. You said the fourth best option, but I was like, well, we actually got to have the guy who likes the team on the show.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't let Kipper trick you, bud. He loves the Leafs.
No, I know he does. It shines through. It totally shines through. So obviously, we're in the middle of this incredible run the team has been on. Ryan and I have kind of been thrown around we think this is the best they've ever played in this era, whether it's the Dubas, Keefe, Matthews, Marner era, whatever you want to call it. I'm going to throw you a softball to start.
Let me have
What
it.
has you feeling the most optimistic? Is it the goaltending? Is it the commitment to team defense? Is it William Nylander? Is it what is it? What stands out the most to you?
It's a good question. I probably the fact that they're getting even capable NHL goaltending, and not just capable now. You look at Samsonov, who's leading the league in both save percentage and goals against average. And I think even in Dubas's wildest dreams, he probably wouldn't have pictured that happening. But I think like it's going to regress at some point with both of these guys. But if you look at what the goaltending the Leafs got last year, from this point on until the end of the season, it was really, really bad, fellas. We all know, like, it was below 900 save percentage for most of the season. So even if they regress down to a 910 or a 915 heading into the first round of the playoffs, that gives me the most optimism. I think it's probably a pretty easy job to play goal for the Leafs right now. Like, they're really not giving up a ton of high danger chances. Maybe outside of that game they played in Dallas, that was a total fire drill. But I think probably the combination of having capable NHL goaltending and a good structure is what makes me most optimistic. Look, the top four is going to score. You guys know that. These guys are carrying the team. That's the way it's built. It's always been kind of what can you get from the decor. That's kind of been the defining factor for this team. So yeah, I'd say the goaltending is probably my most optimistic part of the season so far.
The goaltending situations, like hindsight is 2020. Like it is that going into the season, it was a big question mark. But after the way they've played, to me, it's laughable that we were worried compared to last season. Like I just feel so much more comfortable with these two guys.
I didn't know what we were getting in Samsonov here. Like I really had no idea what he was going to be bringing to the Leafs. Every time I watched him play against Toronto, it seemed like he was pretty easy to score on. Like it wasn't necessarily that he was the scariest guy. So I'm just getting on my email, boys, in case you guys heard that. I'm not sure if you did or not, but
nope, all good.
There we go. Good production by me. Good. I was kind of bullish on Matt Murray. I was one of the only ones. I'm afraid to take full victory laps on this because I sent out a tweet when it happened that like I had a feeling that it might work out well. Just there was too much pedigree there in terms of him being a good starting goaltender in the NHL. But the Samsonov one has definitely surprised me, and I'm wary of him because of the hot starts he's gotten off to in Washington in years past. But yeah, like I said earlier, I really don't think even in Kyle Dubas's wildest dreams that it would have ever looked like this, boys. Like it's really gone to another level. So it's pretty encouraging.
It's an area when you watch every night, I feel confident. The only time I feel nervous is when anyone gets anywhere close to Matt Murray, because I'm like, please don't get hurt, man. Please don't get hurt again.
Well, honestly, even Samsonov made that move, and he was kind of moving gingerly after, and you're like so worried that these guys are just a Band-Aid.
The one last night, even at the end, or when they played against the Ducks last night, was close to the end of the second period, maybe. And like he stretched out weird, and he kind of was. And I even sent a tweet like, "Oh, here's that Shalgren's music." I was a little bit concerned, but they never even really mentioned it, and he was fine. But yeah, I would say that Matt Murray is a different kind of worry for sure. Like you mentioned earlier in the year, when Shalgren was in net, you were worried that any puck that went towards the net was going in the net. And then it's Matt Murray in there, and you're worried that any shot that goes towards the net is going to pull his groin and he's going to be out for 2 months. So I really don't think we're out of the woods on that one yet. I think we're probably going to have a stretch here where Matt Murray probably misses another couple of weeks, maybe even a month. Who knows what's going to happen with him? But I think they've solidified themselves enough that they're going to be in the playoffs, and you can just kind of hope that he stays healthy for when April gets here.
100%. Ryan is with you on the goaltending. Like that's definitely where he's at. I'm someone who, in the history of this pod, we were definitely on the we'll drive William Nylander to the airport section of it. Ryan more so than me. I was always kind of like, he is what he is. We expect too much of him. He's just a goal scorer. Stop. Like the expectations for him are too high. But I think right out of the gate this year, as we like to joke about, this guy had a spaz in the offseason, and he looks like he's 10, 15 pounds bigger out there. He's a difference maker every single night. And it's rare. There were so many times in previous years where I would be screaming at my television watching this guy. And this year, it's just like, man, this guy shows up and he comes to play every single night. And I've just been blown away by him from the word go this year.
Yeah. Willie's the perfect sports talk radio player. He really, really is, because he's split down the middle, right?
Yeah.
For most of his career, you have the whole faction of Leafs Nation that's going to defend him. And like, you can talk about the fancy stats with him. You can talk about the stuff that he does and his scoring ability and his skating ability. And then there's the other side of Leafs Nation where it's like, well, could this guy play with an ounce of heart? Could this guy give me 2 straight weeks of hard play? And it's just like, there's always like this lightning rod. It was perfect sports talk radio fodder. We always joke about that anytime you want to get the lines lit up, just bring up Willie Nylander as a topic.
Yeah.
But honestly, I've always kind of been on the side of just, you know what he is, and you understand what he is. And I always kind of compared him as forward Jake Gardiner, right? Like, you got to just accept the warts with what you have in terms of him being great in other parts of the game. But this year it's changed, fellas. This year, there is no holes in his game. He is responsible defensively. He's bought in just as much as any of these forwards defensively. His offense has gone to another level here. He's on pace for another career year. He is really, really in a sweet spot. And I think a lot of it has to do with he's quote unquote the 4th guy in the pecking order, right? Like, he has Marner, who is now on this historic streak. Matthews is one of the greatest goal scorers in the history of the league already. Like, he's on pace to be one of the best all time in terms of shooting the puck in the net. Tavares is the captain, that big contract. He can kind of just cruise, fellas. He's under the radar a little bit. So he's having an awesome year. And I agree that this year has just gone to another level.
Yeah. So we mentioned off the top that, like, we wanted you on because Kipper called you the pulse of Leafs Nation. And they're in the middle of this historic run, or this like amazing run. And we had a fun with this on our last episode. We posted a video about it on our socials, and we've just been getting crushed over it. And I wanted to get your take on it. Let's just say we know at some point in Jan or Feb, they're going to go into like a little run, right? Like they're not going to be lights out like this for the rest of the season. Are we allowed to spaz when that happens? Has this run, let's just say they have a game like they had earlier this year, or many last year come to mind, where like the effort's just not there. And it's one of those games where at the end of the night, you're like, what did I just watch? These guys didn't show up, whatever. Have they officially silenced that? Are we no longer allowed to like slam our fists down and be like, these guys didn't show up tonight?
So what side of that were you guys on?
Well, at the start of the year, when it was bad, I came on here and I was crying my face off.
Oh yeah,
like,
of course.
I was losing it, and I
thought they
just
sucked, boys.
Yeah,
I thought they were just bad.
Yeah.
Like I wanted everyone fired. I was just over it, and then it's just it's never as bad as you think it is, and they go on this run, and it's just kind of leveled out. It's like, this is the team they are. Like, they're one of the greatest regular season hockey teams in this league. I'm just like, I don't want to overreact the next time they go into one of those funks.
No, I think the playoff failures, and not like even this year it's hard to call what against Tampa a failure. The Habs one really sticks out, and that's one that'll always be in our craw. That's one that we'll always look back on and just never be able to recover from. But the Lightning one was just paper thin close.
Yep.
It's so hard to call that one a failure. But in the first rounds, they've never got out of the first round, and we've seen this story before. I think you are. That's what's great about being a fan, fellas. 100%. I see people taking victory laps saying like, I always believed. Oh, good for you, nerd. You enjoyed them sucking for a week or 2 weeks so that like everyone could. They were awful at the start of the year.
Yes.
Who in their right mind thought? I never thought in a million years they were going to pull out of that. I said things that I shouldn't have said. Me and Bunkus went on after they lost to Anaheim, and we're like, boy, you got to really start talking about Sheldon Keefe losing his job. Everyone had those conversations. It's not that it was a weird conversation to have. I think, of course, you can be upset if they go into a stretch here. The thing that I'm interested to see is their complacency factor. And it kind of plays into that, right? Because they've had these times where they've let down, and we talk about like, oh, these are scheduled, like, they're playing a bad team on home ice after a road trip, they're going to lose. And they've really crossed a lot of those hurdles recently. They've really not had those letdowns. And I'll be interested to see if that continues throughout the year in terms of them playing against bad teams. But of course, you're allowed to be mad. You're fans. That's what it's about. If we didn't have that, my job wouldn't exist, boys.
Yeah, 100% agree with you. And it's more like, obviously they're going to lose games here and there, and they're not going to go on this this level of sustained success. But it's like, if they have another night where it's like they just don't show up, it's like, are we allowed to be like?
But they've stopped doing that, which is crazy.
That's what I mean.
That was one of our whole biggest complaints forever, right?
Yep.
Was that they just, even last year towards the end of the year, they're taking these nights off and they're playing badly. They were doing it every night at the start of the year. and credit Sheldon Keefe here. He's really, really done a great job in terms of getting these guys ready. And, we had a theory that with all these D injuries and all these injuries and them sort of having to rally around each other, it doesn't give them the ability to take the nights off, right? And they've kind of got into that mindset, but I'm not sure what it is. But of course, you're allowed to be mad. I fully endorse. If they go into a stretch, that's what being a fan's about, boys.
Love it. Totally. Couldn't agree more, man. One of the things that we're talking about as we move along here, and I've heard you guys talk about it too, is what do you look like if they're going to add something? It's obviously, do you add a defenseman or do you add another forward? And I've been on the side of adding another forward. I think the injuries to the defense and having some of these guys step in, whether it be from the Marlies or just guys elevate their game, has shown they're deeper on defense than we thought they were. And I just, if you go and get a defenseman, what are you really getting? You're getting another depth guy, right? You're not getting, are you really going to get a D-man that's going to move the needle? Whereas I would rather sort of shoot your shot to try and get a guy who can fit in that. Now that Robertson's out, and I've had enough. I know he got a couple of goals against the Ducks, but I've had enough of them try and squeeze Alex Kerfoot into that role. I would really, really like them to try and go and get someone who they can elevate into that second line left wing position.
I'm with you on the forwards, because to me, this decor over this stretch has shown me enough that I don't need to go out and add to it. Are you going to, I guess, who's the guy that you're going to add? Like you said, is it going to be, I hear this guy from Columbus. I can't even pronounce his name. Is it Gary Anai or Gavrikov or who? I have no idea. Everyone's like, oh, maybe he'd be a good ad. Have you watched Columbus play? I'm good. I think the guys that they have here right now, without even Morgan Rielly, and you can say what you will about not missing him a whole lot, I think that this decor and this organization has shown you that they're close to 8 or 9 guys deep, that you can put a guy in there in a pinch and they're going to be fine. To me, what they really, really need to address at the deadline, like you said, is someone to play with those two guys, with Marner and Matthews, or Marner and Tavares, or whatever it is, whatever line they end up going with into the playoffs. Those two guys are just unbelievable together right now. The Mitch Marner playing with those two guys got to be the sweetest job in the league.
Yep.
And I don't really want to watch Malgin do it. Like you said, I don't really want to watch Kerfoot do it. And I don't think it needs to be a world beater. It just needs to be a guy that can go out there, maybe win a puck battle, shoot the puck in the net, and kind of contribute on that facet. So that's
second Bunting.
Yes, a second Bunting. Yeah. If they could maybe clone Bunting, that'd be great. Go to Scarborough, dig around, see if they can find another guy out there. And then to me, they need to add some capable pugnacity in the bottom six, like a guy that's just going to smoke you, or a guy that's going to maybe pick a fight, or a guy that's just going to be in there. Because God love Wayne Simmons and his contributions to this franchise and contributions to the league and everything on and off the ice. He's one of my favorite players. Shout out Owen Sound Attack, legend in Owen Sound too. But he really can't play too well anymore. It's really showing his age. So they need to add something like that. But to me, decor is pretty much set. I really don't know why you need to add to that.
100% agree with you. You were talking earlier about the how razor thin it was with Tampa. We need someone to be the Nick Paul. Get another guy in there who can score your Nick Paul goal for
someone
you.
who's not 5'9".
Yeah, that would be nice.
Yes.
That was Bourne's boy. He was last year leading up to the playoff, to his credit. He's like, the Leafs should trade for Nick Paul. The Leafs should trade for Nick Paul. This guy is exactly what they need in the bottom six. Big body, capable, can score a little bit, great defensively, and then of course Tampa does it.
Yeah,
and guess
and
what?
they burn us. Yeah.
He scores twice in game 7 and he's just the hero for them. So anyways, we don't need to go down that road. But yeah, no, I agree. It's some size. And listen, they've done well with these smaller guys, but it's still hockey, fellas. So I think they'll probably add something in the bottom six as well.
100%. A couple more for you before we let you go.
All good.
We touched on it earlier that this fan base is so divided, right? You got your eternal optimists, your eternal pessimists. One of the things I'm seeing a lot on Twitter right now from the optimist crowd, the pro Kyle Dubas crowd, is extend him now. They've playing this well. He deserves an extension now. Where are you at on that?
Yeah, this is a tricky one, boys. Is it not a tricky one?
Big time.
I've had some serious long chats in the mirror with myself about this one, because I have no idea which way to go on it. Because honestly, I fear the unknown without him, right? because this team has been so good, and you can say what you will about some of the trades he's made or whatever. You can say what you will about all the different stuff and his philosophies and the smaller bottom sixes and all this stuff. But in his tenure, they've been really good and they've been consistent. They've been well run. And I'm fascinated by the idea of a fresh set of eyes as well on this roster and a fresh set of ideas. I'm really, really caught in the middle. But to me, you can't extend them right now. It's just, you have to wait. You have to wait. You have to play the results to me. It's because if they go out there and they extend them and then the first round thing happens again, then what?
Yeah, exactly. 100%.
It puts you in a weird spot. But then if you don't re-sign them and they do well and they go past the first round and God forbid, Holy Bible, they go to the Stanley Cup final and win a cup or something and he's a free agent, he may be gone.
Yeah, you know what though, Sam? I just have such a hard time like buying that he would leave. I think this guy's got the highest profile GM job in the league. He's invested his heart and soul into this team. You see the shots of him up in the press box during the games, and man, he is so invested. Like he's on
fiery guy.
That dude's palms are soaked at the end of every period. Like I just find it so hard to believe. The only reason why he would do that would be to flip the bird to MLSE. And I just don't see that. I like being the GM of the Toronto Maple Leafs is, like I said, the highest profile job in the league. I just don't like leaving and going to some other franchise. It just wouldn't be the same. I don't know. I'm not saying he wouldn't do it.
Scary one? Want to hear a scary one that Kipper brought up on the show the other day? He's like, wow, there's a team that's in Ontario that had a kind of an underachieving summer and they have some promise and their GM is a little bit scary and they may be looking for a new owner and a new fresh face to run it I was like, Kipper, please shut up. Like, it's just like, please God, like, don't let that happen. Go there and build a perennial contender as well. It's fascinating how much differently we'd be talking about this tenure. If that puck goes off Matthews and goes in the net in game 6 in overtime and they go and they play that crappy Florida team that they definitely would have beat. And then who knows where it goes from there. Like the what ifs with this tenure are so scary. That's like I said, I look myself in the mirror and have this conversation with myself every day. I don't know which way they go. It's a really fascinating one, boys. It really is.
Those high sticking penalties in game 6, man. I honestly believe. I don't know.
We don't need to go down that road.
No.
Last thing, we've mentioned a couple times, we're huge fans of Real Kyper Bourne. What's your favorite part about doing that show?
It's a great question. Honestly, fellas, I've fallen into the perfect spot where like, it's just the camaraderie with those two guys. They're both unbelievable dudes, give you the shirt off your back, salt of the earth guys. And it's just, I've found myself in my dream job. Like Kyper is an unbelievable guy, Bourne, unbelievable guy. They're just great guys. And it's just a really fun job. Everybody wants to, look forward to going into work every day and I get to do it. So I couldn't pick a favorite thing. It's just maybe listening to Kyper every day before the show. We run through the show around 1:30. We go through everything we're going to talk about. And then he's on the phone with different people for an hour before the show. I don't know who the hell he's talking to or what the hell he's talking about, but he's just over in the corner working the phones, old school. So I love seeing that. But yeah, other than that, fantastic. It's just a sick job, dude. I have nothing but great things to say.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on and chatting with us
sweat,
today,
boys.
Man.
It's fun. Anytime.
Yeah, really appreciate it, man. Thank you. Once again, thank you so much to Sam McKee for coming on and talking with us. As we said off the top, kick-ass interview, man. I love it when guys come on and they're just willing to just like, let's just talk shop.
Yeah, and just immediately it's not awkward or weird, or it's just the guy was on here, he's ready to give it his all for us.
Giving long, interesting answers.
Yeah, I love it. And he's on one of the best radio shows in the country.
For Leaf Talk, for sure. Like they have only been on the scene for a couple of years, and if you want just straight Leaf Talk, they're the place to go when it comes to sports radio.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to have him on. And guy's a beauty.
Well, we'll be back on Sunday with episode 3 of the Pulse of Leafs Nation.
Yeah,
got another guest lined up for that one. And that's going to do it for this week.
Let's just keep the winning going, baby. That's all we need.
Just keep winning a couple games. But after got the New York Rangers Thursday night, got the St. Louis
nice
Blues.
original
No,
six
Washington Capitals on Saturday. The Blues are the following Saturday. Yeah.
Keep it going, baby. Here we go.
Thanks so much for checking us out, everyone. If you like what you see, hit that like and subscribe button below.
Spread the word. Tell your friends.
We really appreciate it. We'll see you guys next time.